Y'all, welcome back to another episode of Life as Believers. We've taken a couple weeks off just from busy schedules and all that stuff, but we are back, and this time we have a special guest with us. Daniel Davis is in the building, in the house, in the home, on the couch.
That's right. All of the above.
All of the above. Nice.
Yeah. So
it's good to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming. I know it's kind of like a last minute thing. Just be like, hey, you down to do the podcast today or whatever.
Hey, we got to get it in when we can.
That's facts. That's facts. And so, so really today, y'all, we just wanted to invite Daniel on, hear his story, hear a little bit about his business, hear about how he started that, what he felt was one of the main reasons why he decided to start it and go into it. And honestly, just the talk and hear, really his heart and how he's dealt with adversity in it, how he's dealt with, something being very new, and also how to brand it, how to get it out to his people, with your IG story and stuff we'll talk about later. But all these different things, we just wanted to open up the space for him to talk about and also to show y'all, or really just give y'all insight into another business that you may not know of. So
yeah,
you got a couple of things going on.
Just a few
different things.
Yeah.
So let's start with I don't say what's the main job, but what's the thing that is the breadwinner right now that you're currently doing?
Which I feel like it's changed.
Sure.
Literally just over the past month or two.
That's exciting.
Because before it was the studio.
Really?
I opened the studio. It would be a year next month.
What's the name of that studio?
Yeah, Cultivate Studios.
Dope.
In West Greenville area. Last June I opened that, and I went into this with the idea of I just want to provide a space for other creators to create content. There are 100,000 photographers, videographers in Greenville. And I was like, I don't need to add my name to the list. There are a plethora of talented, content creators.
Right.
So I was like, I don't really feel like that's what I want to do. I don't feel like I need to do that. I just want to provide another space, for creators. Yeah. But we know that we have to have marketing material for stuff, especially being a photography studio. I better have good photos for IG, for a website. So I invested in a camera, and I bought the camera just initially with that in mind.
Right.
It's this is really just so I have good quality content for website and for social.
And you were doing all that yourself, website, social media, all of the marketing stuff you were managing and taking on.
One-man band. Yeah. So I'm I got the guitar on with the harmonica. That's me.
Sure.
Yeah.
With behind the keyboard, trying to do it all. That's how it's been. So that's how that started. So Christmas time came around. I had set up the studio, for Christmas setup, and I offered, Christmas pictures for free just so I can have, some content. And out of that, it was I need headshots or I need this. I'm like, but I'm not.
Yeah. So did you have a background in photography at all?
No.
So you got the space, or I guess you converted your apartment, or?
Well, originally I launched in a space in Hampton Station.
At the Art Up Studios.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was there I moved in there with the idea of let's get out as soon as possible, because it didn't have natural light. Right. But I knew it was still a good space to launch, and I would have rather just launched than not launch at all.
And get the name out there and get the credibility of who you are. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that was last June. And then
that was just merely like business decision. Like I'm here.
Yeah.
Almost like a realtor kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And then right after Thanksgiving, I moved out of there into where I'm at now.
That's quick. Yeah.
Just a loft space in West Greenville that I've kind of converted into a studio.
That's wild. You don't really see many people, especially in the creative sense, dive into the creative world, whether it's a space, whether it's gear rentals or things like that, without having a background in that world, whether it's videography, photography, music, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but I know you have a bunch of friends that are already in that space. So was that kind of I guess like what was the big leeway, like shifting from, I don't want to be a content creator per se, but I want to provide that space for these type of people. Like who's been in your circle that's like, oh, I want to give them a space.
Yeah. Let me backtrack even further to the very, very beginning. So this was probably fall 2020. I was working
mid-pandemic.
Yeah. I was working in higher ed at North Greenville University in admissions. Oh, wow. I was the regional recruiter for them, so I was responsible for recruiting all of North Carolina.
Oh wow!
And then I had take the Mississippi River on up west, so Midwest, West Coast. That was all my responsibility.
Oh wow!
So I primarily traveled in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I was Charlotte, Raleigh, Wilmington, Asheville. All great places. Yeah. And being from North Carolina, my parents lived there.
At what part?
In Raleigh.
Okay.
I grew up in Raleigh.
Nice.
I loved it. Yeah. I was able to travel whenever I want to. It was like, I want to get out of Greenville.
Yep.
Let's go to Charlotte for a week. Yeah, so I just plan some visits around there.
Right.
It was great, but I knew that coming into that job, I was like, this is a job that I can make a career out of.
The recruiting job.
Yes. Or just higher ed in general.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I knew that if I wasn't careful, 5 years, 10 years later, I'm still here in higher ed. I don't necessarily love it like I used to, but I feel like I'm stuck. And I feel like so many people get caught in that web. They get into a job and things are just going and they're just passively working.
Yeah.
Right. Just because it's secure and whatever.
Got the benefits,
right?
And all that stuff that your parents tell you that you need to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And just culture tells us is like job security and 401k and all this kind of stuff, which is
still valid.
Great. Yes.
Extent.
Which is a very valid thing. But for me, I was like, I just don't want to get stuck 3, 5, 10 years down the road. Knowing that I have these dreams that I want to pursue and that I want to do, but I don't feel like I can do that because I'm locked in here.
Right.
What were those dreams? Did you have that dream of creating that space even back then?
Well, so I asked myself when I first started that job, I was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? At the time, I was either turning 25 or just turned 25.
Okay.
But somewhere in that year. So where do you see yourself by the time you're 30?
Yep.
And I was like, well, it could be in higher ed, but I know that to work my way up, I know I'm going to be less connected to students, which is the primary responsibility of my job.
Yeah.
It's talking to students, recruiting students. But the more you work your way up in higher ed, you get more into like the admin and the business side of it. And I knew that that's not where I wanted to be.
Really? Sure. Okay.
So I was like, well, I don't think it's higher ed. I did the cubicle 9-to-5 deal.
Really?
Did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
Recruiting was good because it was a good balance of office and travel. So that was cool. But like just the everyday 9-to-5, like I don't, if I didn't want to talk to a coworker,
didn't have to. Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't like that either. So I was like, well, maybe entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just asked the Lord, and was like, what, after I landed, I was with, okay, I think entrepreneurship. Then I asked the Lord, what would that look like?
Right.
He said, I've created you to cultivate atmospheres for other people.
That's so huge.
And in that statement, I thought about like things that I enjoy doing, things that I'm gifted in, things that I'm passionate about, and they all align under that one statement. Whether it's like music and leading worship in the church, or just like when people come into my personal space, at home, I want them to feel like this sense of peace and community, and like I can take off my feet and put them up in the couch if I wanted to,
Right.
So just like creating that atmosphere for people to feel calm and at home. It is like, birthday party or something, just like hosting, and creating an environment. Yeah. I know that I like interior design. I love interior design. So things like that, it all aligns under that right. one statement. Right. Of, I've created you to cultivate atmospheres for other people, which is where the name of the studio came from.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I was like, okay, what are we going to do with that? Like, what kind of space do I feel like you are leading me to create? And I landed with a wedding venue. And that's still in the pipeline for Cultivate. I kind of broke it down into 3 phases. So right now, Cultivate is in phase 2.
That's so smart.
The venue space is like the end all be all. This is phase 3. This is it. But we ain't there yet.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's one day.
I think the biggest thing, and we touched on this on our first podcast of this season, was just stepping out and launching it.
Yeah.
Like, disregard the societal norms of like, no, you have to have this set up and you have to take these many years or whatever it is to like set up a business. And you have to have a marketing degree or a management company or whatever it is, like, to start a business. But the hardest part is just actually doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Couple that with the fear and anxiety of like leaving a 401k, leaving the security, leaving all of these like these structures that we have put into place that has probably made us a comfortable life and given us some security. What was, and this is a struggle that I continually deal with, and I think we're all learning in this process of like, what was it like saying yes in the dark to what the Lord is telling you to do, knowing that like, all right, I don't see the promised land, like being in that Moses kind of season, like I don't see the promised land. I don't know where you're going to go with this. Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's super poignant for not just creatives, not just like believers, but just people in general, saying yes to things that are scary, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. Yeah.
I think for me, because I knew it was from the Father, I was going to be okay. And for me, that was enough.
Wow.
A lot of people aren't like that. A lot of, I mean, some people need to have a little bit more like, a little bit more on paper,
right?
Or just a little bit more like next steps,
like confirmations and stuff like that,
right? Yeah. But for me, it was like, okay, He gave this to me, it's gonna work,
right?
So I know Cultivate will never fail.
Where does that faith come from? Like, did you grow up in the church? Did you just going through life and motions and? Yeah,
so I did grow up in the church. I don't know. I think for me, like, faith is just something that has always been strong for me.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I know some people are like that, and some people just like is like faith that doesn't make sense. And I feel like that's how I am. So for me, it was like, I don't have to know all the things. I don't even have to know what next month is going to look like. Yeah. But one, I know you said it, so I know I'm going to be okay. Two, I have a track record of your history. So I know that because of the history that we have, that also affirms we're going to be okay. So for me, like, it, even though I don't have a photography background, I don't have a business background. I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for ministry. But I know, like, I know what he's gifted me with. I know the mind that he's given me, creatively and in a business sense. And for me, that was enough. You know, so, and I think too, like, the Lord gives us passions and giftings, and I think those things are attached to our purpose,
right?
Which sometimes can be like how we have, like, make our well-being, and like that can be our career, and sometimes that can be our avenue for ministry, and sometimes that can just be like something that fills our cup, those passions and and what our purpose is. But for me, I knew that this was a purpose that I had to go all in on.
Right.
This was something that I had to put all eggs in one basket, and it was like, if I want to do it, I have to be all in.
Yeah.
So that was fall of 2020 when I decided to open up a studio.
Yeah.
So I transitioned from a venue space.
Yep.
And for me, I was like, okay, I think in 5 years I can get to a place where, you know, I can open up a venue. That's obviously going to take time, but a little bit after that, I just got this idea of, you know, this photography studio, and I was like, well, that's something I can do now. You know, like, I definitely don't need as much capital to do that.
Well, it's also, it sets you up.
A studio.
It sets you up for 5 years in the future.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
That's probably like a good segue into literally what you're doing now. You just landed your first wedding, right? To shoot. Yeah. Which is, for those, like, shooting the wedding it's a whole other beast than like shooting portraits. So coming in, you don't have more than 2 years of photography experience.
I don't even have 6 months.
Right. So
if I'm being honest,
like, that's really wild.
It's a huge testament to not only the Lord's blessing, but also like the Lord's hand on this is exactly what you should be doing, because like he's given you not only the platform, but also the resources and truly the skill now, because you're not going to book that wedding unless people see the work that you're producing. Right. You're like, oh, I want this person to capture my special day that I'm having to create covenant with the Lord. And like, you're going to capture that. Like, that's a huge, not to put pressure on like this wedding, but that's a huge step. And like,
that's the reality of it.
Like, super kudos and a huge testament to what the Lord is confirming in your life. And I remember a little like testimony in my life too was when I started following the Lord. Like, I bought a guitar because like I need to fill this gap in my life where it used to be occupied by partying and drugs and like a lifestyle that wasn't appealing to the Lord. I left that behind and bought a guitar to fill that gap, not knowing really what was going to come out of it. And 6 to 8 months later, I was on stage opening for Us in the Hill with a Christian band, and I was like, all right, Lord, this is what you want me to do, because like there's no way I could be from zero to where I am now without your hand on this. Like, that's huge.
I think it's just like really huge that what your vision, really the vision that the Lord gave you. Sorry, my voice is cracking, but comedic relief right there for y'all. But yeah, no, one of the things that you said that I really wanted to touch on was the fact that you were sharing all these different things that you like, that you enjoy, you know, and maybe there are things that you enjoy that you didn't know how to do, for instance, photography, you know. And so to speak to that and to speak to the fact that you can enjoy something, not truly know exactly how to do it, have a respect for it, and out of faith move forward and trust that I don't really know much about taking photos, but I'm going to start a business where that's what they do. Right. Is people come in and take photos. Not only are you starting a business where people come and take photos, but now you're in a place where you're able to learn from some of the best people who are taking photos.
Yeah, that's huge too.
So it's like you're in a place where you're humble enough to say, I don't know how to do this, but I want to open up a place that literally cultivates other people's professional craft. And also while I'm there, even though this is my studio, I'm going to learn. I'm going to watch what they're doing. I'm going to allow myself to continue to move forward and not feel like I know everything. You know, and it's now put you in a place, to Thomas's point, where you're shooting a wedding, which is totally different, but it's also not, because it's so much closer to the fact that you want to open up a wedding venue. So it's cool how like the humble beginnings, I'm just going to take a leap of faith, even though this is not what I see in the future, but this is what is right in front of me right now. I'm trusting that this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do it with everything I got. And then as things move and as the Lord guides you and as he brings other people into your life, now guess what? You're building relationships with people that can actually even help you be propelled into that place of you having a wedding venue. You know, so like that to me is something that is super admirable, just hearing your story and hearing the fact that you're like, yes, I'm gonna do it, even though what my dream is 5 years from now doesn't look like what I'm in right now. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think for me, like, a point that Thomas said earlier is just like, just taking that step, just getting started. Because I know for me, when I first had this idea, I was like, okay, by next month, this is what I want to have done. And I kept doing that. And I kept doing that. And it was like, you've been saying that for three weeks now, you know? So for me, it almost felt sporadic, but it was like, okay, I'm going to go register for my LLC. And it was like, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to do it right now. You know, and once that happened, I was like, okay, this is real. Like, we got to start doing stuff. Like, so just taking that initial step is so huge. And then just trusting and believing in yourself, holding on to, for me, holding on to what I know the Lord told me. Those two things are like what continues to just like keep me going. And there's a statement that I think I say it to myself every day, is your creativity will make room for you, and you will always have a seat at the table.
That's huge.
You will always have a seat at the table. And I'm realizing, like, and I say that every day because I just opportunities that I'm having, they all stem from creativity. But there's these opportunities that I'm just like, how is this happening? You know, like I shot headshots for probably the biggest church in South Carolina yesterday and Monday, what's today? Thursday.
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday.
Cinco de Mayo.
You know, so for New Spring Church, you know, shot headshots for them.
It's wild.
And it was like, why did this church contract me out for headshots? Like, they know all these other creators. Right. And it just goes back to that statement. It was like, there will always be a seat at the table if you just continue to lead with your creativity, you know, authentically.
So, yeah, do you want something to say?
No, I really just, well, yes. I love that. Because if I'm being honest, there are a lot of moments from my own perspective on my own craft of me not understanding my worth, you know, and a lot of times looking at what I bring to the table and, you know, if I'm not careful, comparing it with what somebody else does, especially if they're doing something similar or they've been doing it longer. And we've talked about this in the past too. It's like, I have to understand my worth. But I also have to understand and give myself grace that I am growing, you know, and there are going to be things that my friends get that I don't get based off of, you know, work or whatever. And there are going to be things that I get that just like the Lord has just blessed me with. But if I'm constantly looking to the left and looking to the right from a place of comparison, I won't create.
Right.
You know, and the thing is, you were created to create. You were created to cultivate, you know, but which is obviously the name of your studio. You were created for these different things. And to be honest, it could be very easy for you. I don't know if you've dealt with this, but it could be very easy for you to step into shooting and be like, I'm not really that great compared to so-and-so. Like, I'm new to this compared to so-and-so. But you're getting opportunities because you decided to actually walk by faith.
Right.
This is something that I literally was thinking probably about 2 weeks ago is, the word says walk by faith and not by sight.
Right. Yeah.
But the first part of that phrase is walk.
Yeah.
You got to walk. The first step is walking. And the second step is literally doing it by faith and not by just what you see. And so when you have this part of you that's like, yeah, I know I didn't start out as a photographer, but I'll take it up because why not? And I'll give it a shot. Now you're getting these opportunities. Because that's not what you saw in the beginning, was you shooting.
Yeah.
You saw the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were in a place where you're able to do something that wasn't necessarily right off rip what your vision was, but now it's putting you into a place where now you, like I said before, you have more relationships with different people. You're getting gigs. You're getting these, you know what I'm saying, these opportunities to actually push you closer to the big goal.
Right. Yeah.
So what is like and I'm fascinated by this not only as a business owner, but as a creative entrepreneur myself. It's what's a day-to-day like? Is there a normal day? Is it like do you have a structure? Is it more kind of flying by the seat of your pants and whatever today brings?
So I feel like I'm like kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I know like most creatives don't do well on the business side, and like structure is like a foreign language.
Right.
I feel like I fall like kind of in the middle, of that. I look at my week and there are rhythms that I have established that are fairly consistent, whether it comes to like looking at my booking calendar and sending out like communication for people who are going to be coming through that week, or posting on social media, which I have not been great at this week.
Do you have a structure for that?
Yeah.
Do you want to give some insight? Because like us, we manage personal account.
Yeah.
Kings and Queens account, this podcast account, DHB account. He has his music account as well and his personal account. So like between the two of us, we have six or seven accounts that we have to manage. Yeah, it's a lot.
It is
like,
a lot.
Between two people.
Yeah. What's been your structure, not only with your personal, but your photography now and your Cultivate Studios one? My
personal account, don't really care about it.
Okay. Fair.
I think the last thing I posted was in like February.
Okay.
In May.
Yeah.
So like that one, I was like,
whatever.
I'm not trying to promote myself or anything.
Right.
As far as the business account, I have a kind of like a template of what should be posted when. So it's like, okay, this next post needs to be a collage. The next post after that needs to be just like a single photo. So that helps me, like that just simplifies it for me to kind of have that setup. And then I don't necessarily have a frequency of like,
Gotcha.
I'm going to post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
I try to post, before last week.
Yeah.
Try to post every day, which is a lot.
Like on the grid or just on stories?
Yeah,
like
on the grid.
Oh wow.
Just to, but it's like you need a lot of content.
I was just about to say
for
that. I was like, how does that work with?
But
are you also on TikTok or like on this? So you're just on Instagram?
Not messing with no TikTok. But
I didn't know like that's like repurposing assets for different things.
Because what I've found is I did a TikTok one time.
Yeah.
In either in the fall or in December, fall or winter, one of those. So I did a TikTok and then I just shared it to the Instagram, and it got like no like or no views.
Really?
It got like I took it down because it was just the algorithm doesn't.
Yeah.
The algorithm doesn't want to push another platform. So what I figured out was I literally got like 300 or 400 views on TikTok. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna mess around with reels.
Yeah.
So I did a reel, and that one got like, I think it's sitting at like 5,000 views
For the same piece of content?
It was a different piece of content, but I did them within like weeks of each other.
Sure.
And so I figured out, at least I think this is in my mind how it works. Is like, obviously Instagram is going to push content for its own platform. Right. So I was like, I'm not going to mess with TikTok. Right. And I feel like reels are easier to like make on Instagram than TikTok. I don't know. TikTok's just foreign to me. So,
I mean, it's smart though to understand and like stay in a lane that you're in, because there are so many different things. Like you could have like streaming platforms like Twitch or whatever it is, and you have YouTube, and you have like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, like you name it, it's out there. Twitter now is like,
for me, I was like, we just gonna do Facebook and Instagram and the website.
That's huge,
and that's it. So for Instagram, like I said, I try to post daily. And a lot of that is a mix of original content that I shoot in the studio. And then I'll reach out to creators who have shot in there and say, hey, send me like 5 of your favorites. And then I'll throw it up there. So that helps as well. So I try to do every day around either like, for some reason for me, 10 o'clock is a good time, or like 8 or 9 p.m. when everybody's on like their nightly scroll. Right. So it seems late, but I mean, everybody's just on their phones doing nothing anyways.
So with the people that come and use your studio space, I'm assuming you work from home as well, like half the time. Like, are you there in the space while they're shooting, or do you like, all right, I'm gonna check out, either go downstairs to a common room, or I'm here to help them out with styling if need be? Like, what's your role in other creators using your space?
So when I first opened it, I was there for every shoot.
Gotcha.
At least just to welcome them in.
Right.
And then I stopped doing that because it just like really limited my time.
Absolutely.
You know. So for me, I have it set up now like Airbnb. Like, I got a lockbox on the door.
Smart.
They can get in, get out when they need to.
Wow. That's cool.
So like that frees up my time to go do other stuff. If it's somebody that I want to meet that's in there, I'll hang around, welcome them in, add that little extra layer of hospitality. But I just have it Airbnb, set up, so they can come in and do what they need to and not feel like they're being like hovered over. So that's how I have it set up. But sometimes I'll just go like on our first floor common area and hang out. If it's like an hour shoot, I'll just go hang out downstairs most of the time. Anything over that, I might like go run errands or go do what I got to do. So that's how it's set up.
If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all the other ones. With everything you need right in one place, it's easy to make a podcast. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So other than the marketing and social media side of the business, if you have a shoot, I'm assuming you're going to go to that shoot that day, obviously. But what is that in between time? I mean, I find myself refreshing emails every single 20, 30 minutes just to see who replied. And so I'm stuck at my computer half the day, quote unquote, not being productive, waiting for communication lines. But what's been, is that in line with like what you're finding yourself at? Or are you more proactive in like, today I'm going to go on lynda.com or Skillshare and learn this new thing, or like what's I guess like how do you occupy your free time or your
free space? So I feel like I have streamlined my processes to the point where like it just runs itself, and then 24 hours before that appointment I send them an email an hour before their appointment time. I send them a text. That's really it.
All manual. You don't have anything set up automatically. That's you're doing it yourself. Wow.
Yeah. So my day to day, like, I mean, I will check my emails.
Right.
But I feel like I've made website and Instagram as clear as possible.
Right.
To where they don't need to email me.
Sure.
So I don't get a ton of emails unless somebody books, which is always nice. I like those emails.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
Yeah,
to read.
those are great emails.
It's like, dang, you got another one.
Right.
There you go. Come on,
Right.
Lord.
Yeah. And for me, I'm still like shocked when people book, which is a good feeling to have.
Yeah.
You know, especially now there's like, I'm getting a ton of new people. And I remember, I mean, studio's only been open a year, but I remember when I just had to like grind.
Right.
You know, I say in the beginning, I'm still in the beginning, but like those first couple months just to get anybody in the door. And that was just like, you know, I don't know how people are finding it, but they are, and they're booking it. So that's been cool. But in my downtime, I mean, like, I work other jobs to fill time. I'm just like, I have margin to do other things.
Right.
So like some part-time jobs just to fill some time. And if you can have multiple streams of income, I believe in that firmly.
Yeah.
So, you know,
sure.
I have capacity to do that. You know, or it's just me time, which I highly value. Or time with friends. You know, hey, let's get lunch, or let's catch up, or
do a podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
We have 2 hours in the morning. Let's knock it out.
Let's connect about something. Right. You know, so for me, relationship building, rest, but also just like a lot of creative processing and brainstorming.
Gotcha.
So it's like, what can I do to, like, what can I do to reach this demographic of people, you know, on social media or something like that.
Yep.
Or I'll go on YouTube and learn more about my camera. I try to spend like an hour a day doing something with photography, whether it's like, we're going to play around in Lightroom and take a photo and edit it in this style and in this style and in this style. Or we're going to go on YouTube and learn more about, you know, settings, you know, for different lighting situations. Or we're going to take the camera and just walk around, you know, the studio and shoot different angles or, you know, things like that. So that's a rhythm that I've tried to implement pretty regularly, which is why I feel like I'm able to, for someone who's been shooting for 4 months, and I feel like I'm a little more advanced because I have the time to invest versus somebody else who has been in it for 4 months, but they also have a full-time job.
Yep.
Right.
Know?
Fair.
So a lot of like just creative stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
In that downtime.
Do you have like because with that, I mean, you have days where you're super busy, days where you're not as busy. Do you create a structure for yourself to not like fall out of rhythm? Like, do you have like a routine where I'm in bed by midnight or 1 o'clock and I'm up at 8 a.m. every day, regardless of what my day looks like? Or
I'm not that intentional.
Okay.
Because I know that.
Not saying you have to do that.
Yeah. That would drive me crazy.
Right.
Because I would feel like I would do it it would take the enjoyment out of it for me.
Right.
It's like reading the Bible. It's like, oh, I have to get up
Yep.
at a set time every day. It's like, eventually it's not going to be not that it has to be fun.
Right.
But you go into it with a different mindset and different perspective versus like, I just really want to be with Jesus, you know.
And it looking different each time, you know, kind of, but it's still being done,
right?
But in a different maybe way or time or okay. Yeah.
It's probably more relational that way too.
100%.
It's more organic. Which is, I feel like, how I am naturally.
That's massive.
And how like my workflow is. It is like,
cool.
I haven't done this in a couple of days. Let's work on this,
Yeah.
Versus like something super structured.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of give myself grace, to be a little more flexible with those things. Will there be a time where I need more structure? Probably. Mm-hmm. But right now I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not gonna worry about it
for sure
as much.
Have you found that sometimes the things that are just like, hey, I'm learning my camera or I'm doing this, have you found it hard to, how do I put this? Realize that it is work? Because there are sometimes, the reason I ask this, because there are some times where I'm literally like spending, like you said, time just looking on, YouTube or whatever, trying to learn whether it's my music production stuff or if I'm just looking up a whole bunch of different places around that we could bring in artists to perform at, all these different things where it's like, is this work? Because it's like, it doesn't necessarily feel like the 9 to 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, for me, sometimes I get hard on myself because I'm like, dang, I didn't really work hard. But then I'm looking back, it's like, no, that was work and that was beneficial towards my business. So is that something that you found yourself at some points like, no, like this is work. You know what I'm saying? This is, or maybe vice versa, where you felt like, am I working hard enough?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would say yes, but it just never feels like work.
Okay.
Which is great. Like, I feel like that's the spot that every entrepreneur wants to be in. Every creative entrepreneur wants to be in. Is like, yeah, I'm doing these things, and it's like, it takes time. It is work, but it's also fun.
Right.
It's like filling my cup, and so it just doesn't feel like work, So that's how it's been for me. Like, this whole journey has been like that. I don't feel like I've worked since 2020.
That's huge.
Which I mean, obviously I have, like,
and it shows it though.
Right.
It shows it through social media and through your businesses, and you getting gigs and stuff.
I hope. But
no,
I hope it shows. But it really has just been like, I mean, yes, starting a business is challenging and it can be hard. And that's why I use the word challenging more so than hard.
Yeah.
Because hard to me gives like this connotation of like negativity, which for me, that has not been my experience. Has it been challenging? Yes.
Right.
And challenging things can be difficult, but it's like, it hasn't been hard where it's like, I don't know if I should be doing this. I don't know if this was a good idea. It has not been that. Even though maybe to somebody else, put somebody else in that position, they maybe would have processed it that way. Like, probably the first 3 months of Cultivate being open from June of last year until like October, it was like, is anybody gonna book?
Right.
It's like, so
that bank account right, a little every month.
Those first couple months, it was just like, I mean, I know I got something good,
right?
But nobody's booking. But for me, it was just like, that's just the challenge of a new business. Right. You can have a great product, but but if nobody knows about it, obviously they're not going to buy it. So it just takes time.
Absolutely.
And now I'm at a spot where it's like, I don't know how people are finding it, but people are booking.
Right.
So just staying in it and knowing that like, it's going to be this way for a while, and being okay with that.
That's good.
But
that's
yeah,
really
it has been, challenging, but for me, that's I know that's a part of the journey coming into it.
Yeah.
So perspective, it's all about perspective.
Right.
So I'm just like, I mean, this is just a part of it. It's just growing pains of a new business.
Yeah. That's good.
I expect these things to happen.
Right.
So it's not as taxing on me emotionally because I'm aware of that.
Yeah. No, that's really cool perspective to have. for me and obviously Thomas, this is our first time starting a business together. And for me, everything that I've done in the past has just been working either the 9 to 5 or the part-time job, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. And to actually start and get an LLC and all these different things, I think the perspective, going back to what I said earlier, I stepped into it thinking, this is what the Lord has told me. I felt like the piece is to move forward. And then you got those dry months in the beginning. It's like, Lord, you said move forward. This looks like I'm moving backwards.
Right.
You know, and it's not really, that's not the case. It's just there is, like you say, the growing pains.
Yep.
And I'll even say I feel like it can be the same relationally. You know, when you meet somebody, a significant other, it's like there's sometimes some growing pains because I'm meeting you, I'm getting to know who you are. We're, you know what I'm saying, we're not putting our past experiences on what's right in front of us or trying our best not to, and moving forward through that, also not trying to compare it to other relationships, all these different things. So having those growing pains is good. And it also, I believe, later down the road will make you appreciate it even more. Yeah. And what you decide to stay in.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so the fact that you say that you've been, like, next month will be a year. Next month for us is 5 months.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, we still working. There's still things that need to be done, and, you know, hustle and all that. But it's really cool to hear the fact that you made 2 very hard decisions. The first one was starting. The second one was to keep going. I think those are the 2.
The third one was to leave my full-time job to do this.
Right.
When I didn't even have a space.
Out of faith.
Out of faith.
Out of faith. You left it, and it opened up you more time. It opened up you the ability to focus more on the business that you felt so much that you were called to do. I remember just slight little, I guess it's not really a switch, but I remember talking to you about this before. When we first were talking about like doing a podcast and all these different things, you were saying how you felt that it's a difference between just going after a dream and actually going after what you were created to do. Can you like elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. And then I think it ties back into something that I mentioned earlier, but it's like when you, like, we all have, well, I say we all have dreams. Some people may not. I don't know. Yeah. Most people have dreams. Yeah. Honestly, I would say like before my mid-20s, I was not a dreamer. I was just somebody that like, oh, let me come help you do what you're working on. I see your vision. I like it. I'm gonna support it, and I'm gonna put my energy into helping you, you know, get what you want. And then for me, it was like there's a time that kind of shifted for me. It's like, you have dreams too, and it's okay. It's okay for you to have them. Right. 2, it's okay for you to pursue them. Like, I'm giving you, like, you need to give yourself permission, 1, to dream, give yourself permission to pursue those dreams. You know, so everybody, you know, dreams, but I feel like when it's something that is a sign from the Lord, that it becomes more than a dream and into a calling. And I feel like that is what this has been for me, even though like this is not a ministry, you know, per se.
Well,
yeah, well,
I mean, it can be, you know, like anything can be ministry, but it's like, this is not working in a church.
It's not corporate ministry.
Right. Not corporate ministry like what I was in before. And I just feel like there are, if you started from that place of, I'm doing this out of obedience to what the Father has told me to do, and you stay in that vein, like, then the business won't fail. I mean, it might go through some dry seasons, but it's not going to fail. And because he has called you to do it, he's going to continue to give you the passion to fulfill it. Versus like when dreams come, is like, or, you know, when you have these dreams, is like when you aren't able to see that next step, is like, well, I don't, this is it.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's something that the Lord has called you to do, even when you don't see it, it's like, nope, I know what he told me. And because of that, I'm able to stay in this to see it through. So I don't know. That's how it's been for me. And I just feel like it just feels, I can't really explain it. It just feels different.
Yeah.
Like knowing that this is something that I very specifically know that I'm called to do. And I can't really explain it, which is okay.
For sure.
But yeah, it just allows me to have a different perspective on the whole business as a whole. Because I don't really look at it as a business. It's a business, of course, it's a business, but I just I'm just doing what the Lord told me to do.
Right.
Sure. And that's kind of how I see it. And yeah, that's just how it's been so far. But
do you have any like business mentors or spiritual mentors that are helping you keep that perseverance? Because I know as humans, we are, I think, created to obviously have community, right? But we also need helpers. We need people to continually egg us on and give us some, whether it's constructive feedback that allows us to reevaluate ourselves, but it's also, we need some of that encouragement to keep going. Like, do you have people, and you obviously do. So what does that look like in your life? Is it a mentor that you are getting advice from, or is it like I'm relying on my core group of community people to not only support me in my business, but also like support me in some days where I may not be feeling like super proud or whatever. That's a loaded question. I know it's a lot to take in, but I'm curious of what that network is like.
So I actually don't have a person who's like, hey, are you doing this? You should think about doing this.
Right.
Or, things like that. This is going to sound so cheesy.
Jesus.
But that Sunday school answer. Jesus, he's the answer for everything. But legit is he the one who got me into it.
Right. So he's gonna have the answers.
That's my main
right.
God in all of this. I also lean into creators that come into my space. They're the ones using it. They're the ones that's gonna give me feedback on how to make it better.
Right.
So just sending out evaluations, every now and then, or just asking that's people in passing, or especially my regulars. It's what would you like to see? It's you enjoy it now, but would you like to see more stuff on the walls? Would you like to see anything? It could go back to social media. How's your booking experience? What's that's like? So just evaluating the whole process. I lean into creators that come through. But it's just been a lot of me having awareness of what of the product that I have, the systems and structures that I have, and just constantly evaluating those things.
That's good.
So you're taking on a lot of that kind of yourself, and you're evaluating nobody else is going to do it for me. I got to do it myself. Yeah. That's huge. Not many people have that.
My mind is just weird. And this is not to sound prideful or braggadocious. So y'all please don't hear that from me. But there are things that I do in my business that I thought was just common knowledge.
Right. Oh, I'm that same way in a lot of things. That people
was oh, you aren't doing this, or you didn't know to do this. And I think for me, I thought that because I don't have that business background, business training, never took a business course, any of these things. And so for me, it's just like, these are just thoughts that come in my mind. I'm like, you need to do this. You need to do this. So I thought it was like that for everybody.
What are those tangible things? Like, put it into practicality.
Even like it's something as simple as branding.
Okay.
Like some people just like, that's just a foreign concept to them. It's like your stuff should look like good quality, right? Consistency. Like you are a business, so there's a level of excellence,
And to give you kudos, like your feed is that warm, like creamy, buttery, like tones that aesthetically are amazing.
And to create an aesthetic that's going to attract the people that you want.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like to me, that's just that's common knowledge of like you need to build a brand, for your business, but that's apparently not.
It's not as common as we think. Yeah.
As common for business owners.
Do you think, I guess to that question, like to your statement, do you think that it's a lot of people know that they should build a brand, but they don't know how?
Yes, I do think that like those people are out there, but there are also some people who just legit just don't know. Like, like I don't just very much on the business side,
right,
and not as much on the creative, like the marketing and things like that.
They just think they have something to offer to sell somebody, and people are just going to buy it, not knowing what they do.
Right, probably seen that in not a creative business,
right?
For instance, and that's to counter that. That's why you have creative agencies,
right,
to provide that like outlook on some, like for instance, like a law firm's not going to think about how they look on social media. Like their websites primarily are ugly because it's like, all right, it's either red or blue because whatever political background you have, whatever angle you have, I need a headshot on white because I'm going to put it on my billboard to say my name and my number. And a lot of that is not like super creative. They know like the bare minimum of marketing, so they go to a creative agency, whether it was like Kickstand when we were in Columbia. Like a lot of our stuff we were doing was for those law firms. Or if you're on a larger scale and you have more money, you're going to ad agencies to have like a writer or an art director come in and create this like national campaign. Like if you look at, let's just say, I'm trying to look around my house to see what brand we can talk about. Like PlayStation, for instance, like it's a creative company, yes, but they're going to an ad agency to kind of come up with a creative campaign of how to sell their new product. So yeah, like I think it's you do have a unique perspective and a unique mindset of you are the business brain and also that creative brain. And
but even like on the business side, like having processes and structure in place for like when growth does happen, like you need to have a good foundation as far as like your processes and things like that, because even though like they may not be necessary now, like when your business begins to pick up, you're gonna need to have that booking process on lock. You're gonna need to have these other things like follow up and all these things, and these are just things that I just thought people knew,
right? And
people did that. I guess is just not as natural, which has been cool. I think for me, one thing that I really enjoy that I just didn't know I would enjoy is like the business side of it.
Interesting.
And like the strategy and the planning, and it's like, how can we, like if I want to see more of this like demographic in my space, what can we do about it? So getting like a marketing strategy plan so that can happen. So these types of things have been energizing for me in a way that I just didn't know it would. Like I knew I would enjoy the creative stuff, but just the businessy side of it all has been really fun for me.
Do you think that's due to the fact that you have so much faith in what the Lord has showed you, and so you're like, I'm enjoying this because I'm seeing how it's actually helping the growth of my company?
I think part of that, yes. I also think it's just something. I think it's. Yeah, part of it I believe is like, the Lord, told me to do this. So there's that faith aspect. But I think part of it is just like, this is something that I actually enjoy that I just didn't know I would enjoy until I got in it.
That's cool.
And which is another thing is like, in this past year, there have been things that I'm doing that I like never thought I would do, or things that I enjoy that I just didn't think I would enjoy. Or it's like, I just didn't know I could do that.
That's good.
But that's because I never had the opportunity to flex that muscle before.
Yeah.
Until I started a business.
Right.
So like these past jobs that I was in, I was like, I know I'm capable of more. I just don't know what that is because I don't have these opportunities.
Right.
Whereas now, and it's like everything is on my shoulders. Is like it's been cool just to see like how much I can do.
That's cool.
And I would love for everybody to experience that. At some point in their life. Just to like challenge themselves to do something and just see how much further you can go with doing something that you may not have thought you could do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I actually I relate to that really heavy. And I actually I talked to Thomas about this on the music producing side of things. Is as a producer, as a creator, singer, whatever, songwriter, all that stuff, that's always been the fun part. Me picking up an instrument and all that kind of stuff, that's always been the fun part. Now, on the sound engineering side, I hated it. I didn't think that I'd be good at it, didn't think that I would like it, ever grow to that place. But now, because I'm almost pushed into that place where we have people coming by to record music, I'm having to work as producer and engineer. I'm also having to learn what that looks like, and it's putting me in a place where we don't currently have an in-home engineer or in-house engineer, so I'm like doubling as both. But it's caused me to actually like be intrigued by it and be like, nah, this is actually pretty interesting. And have I gone to school to be an engineer? No, but it's like what I'm learning, I'm like, dang, this is actually pretty cool. This is like, I don't know why I shied away from it for so long. Like why did I not, and it's not to beat myself up about it, but it was like, I think a lot of times people don't try something because of how intimidating it may look. But then when you step into it, you're like, this really ain't that bad. And even if it is kind of confusing, it's like, are you willing to still work toward it and try to get better at it? And so that's one of the things that like I've definitely tried to take, and I completely understand with you. It's like I'm actually starting to enjoy the thing that I thought I was going to hate. And I hated it because the ignorance was bliss.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't know something, figure it out.
Right.
Like
it's up to you. Yeah.
Figure it out and fake it till you make it. That's what I've been doing that for a whole year. Like social media, I remember it was a time last year where it was just dry.
Right.
Like I may have had like 2 bookings in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. But people was like, it looks like you're killing it and the studio is doing well. I said, it's because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on the marketing side.
Right.
But it's slow. It is so slow. I was like, I'm just faking it till I make it. But also, like you said, Ellington, just like, if you don't know something, it don't take but, however much time to figure it out. And once you figure it out, that is a tool that you can put into your tool belt that's going to make you more knowledgeable and resourceful later. So it's worth that extra time, figuring out those things that you don't know how to do. Whether it's somebody asked you to do something and you commit to it, knowing that my skill set ain't there yet. Right. But I know I can figure it out.
Right.
For sure.
Or just on your own time.
Yeah.
Like, this, I just want to learn how to do this. Just because,
That's cool.
You can never go wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I know you got places to be, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up.
Okay, I literally was just about. I'm like, I knew you were about to go with this. I was like, somebody's gonna say
where
it.
we going with this.
But
So I don't
we'll
like
segue
it.
just before you have to leave.
I'm sweating.
You have posted this continually.
Oh, okay.
And it's something that Elle and I talk about often, and I want to hear. I mean, you're obviously like, preemptively you're passionate about it. It's support your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does the post say?
That?
Tell everybody if they don't know. I low-key want to pull it. I know you probably have it saved so you can continue to repost it.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially it's a
I just go back to
poster,
my
right?
archives.
Yeah,
It's like a poster.
Yeah, he posts this on his story often,
like almost once a week.
Yes,
weekly.
And so I'm gonna post it right now.
Fantastic.
It is Thursday, and I have not posted it yet. So,
which is cool. Yeah. So talk about first off where you found that and what resonated with you, why you continually put it out there. With it being, I don't know, I won't say divisive, but it can cause people in your network to question and reevaluate themselves. Almost.
Right.
Like, what's the post first off? Like verbatim.
I got it.
We'll put it up on the screen too for YouTube and Spotify listeners. But
it says support your friends just like you support a celebrity that doesn't know you exist.
Say it one more time for people in the back.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Let me reshare that real quick. Support your friends just like you support a celebrity that doesn't know you exist. So
that's real.
So I forgot how I saw this. I think somebody tagged me in it or they sent it to me. Because this is given like petty energy, which is
I love it.
Which is me.
Yeah, I love it. Same.
People don't like to admit that they're petty, but I'll admit
I do. It's all good.
I can be petty.
It's petty, but it's real.
It is
super
real.
real.
It still gets
real.
the point across, but
right. You gonna drive 2 hours to a Justin Bieber concert.
Come on.
And on a Tuesday night.
Come on.
And get back at 2 a.m. knowing you got to go to work tomorrow, but you can't buy a hat.
Or even share your post.
Right. Or
that's free.
Just share it. That's free.
That's free.
Come
on, Daniel.
0.5 seconds.
Come on.
To share.
And like,
go in.
This is a whole nother episode.
This might be a whole nother episode.
This,
but
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. So like, what's the heart behind it? Like, because we can't be petty. We can't be like fools. Like, buy a bag. Right. Book a thing. I don't care what it is. Like it's $50. Come on. Like you're gonna spend whatever it is, to your point, to drive, especially with gas right now, to drive 2 hours to Atlanta and spend $80 on gas and then $200 on tickets.
200
to support somebody who don't even know you in the room.
And you can't even see them for $200 tickets at Justin Bieber because you weigh in.
And then you're gonna spend $60 on a t-shirt with that person's face on it.
That was a photo shoot.
No hit on Justin Bieber, by the way.
No,
he makes amazing music.
But he don't know you.
Facts.
And you don't know him.
You don't know him.
So, no of them.
What do you think? Like, why is it so difficult to support local businesses or your friends as opposed to the celebrity that they don't know?
Yeah, I think part of it is just like we just aren't taken seriously as a business.
Wow.
So it's like, you know,
until you're booming,
right? It's like when your mom says, like, yeah, I saw, like, especially in the black community, if your parents put little in front of something, they don't think it's serious. It's like, oh,
your
like who's
your
little friend?
Your little friend, yes.
Right?
Yeah. That's facts. Oh my gosh, that's facts.
Like your little friend, or it's like, yeah, like they talking to you know their brother or sister on the phone, like, yeah, Daniel got this little part-time job that he working. You know, like
it's the disrespect,
right? The disrespect. You know, so I think it's like kind of that same thing is like is not looked at as like a legitimate business. You know, so and there's also is like, well, what can I get out of it? Right. Or it's like, oh, we're friends, so can I get a discount? You know,
speak on that real fast. Hold up.
Which for me now that I'm in this, any of my friends and it was like musicians and they like, you know, push out some t-shirts or something or anything, I was like, I'm gonna pay full price.
Yep.
Because like
that's huge.
That's like, I know the work that has gone into your craft. I know the money that went to these shirts, you know. So it's like, I'm gonna pay full price. I'm not gonna ask for a discount,
right?
You know.
I think that's huge. Not to cut you off, but like that's one thing that I really wanted to talk about.
Yep.
Because there's a guy in the gym that, you know, we have DHB clothing and all that, and another one of my buddies came up and he was like, "Yeah, man, when you gonna hook me up?" And he's like, "Don't ever give out a discount to your friends." He said if they really your friends, they
should be
full
willing
price.
to pay full
if they
price.
really do support you, they'll pay for full price. Now, however, I do believe that it should be up to the business owner to say, I'm gonna give you the family rate. I'm gonna give you the family discount or whatever, because like, you've been so supportive. Like, I know that you appreciate what I do. You actually, you know, care about my craft. You care about my art. You care about the time, the hours, the money that I've invested in my thing. Like, you showing love, so I'm gonna show love to you. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But like, I feel like sometimes it's been the opposite, where you will have people that are your friends and be like, "Hey man, when you gonna hook me up with a discount?" It's like, you ain't even bought the first thing,
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Or even share.
Like, do you even know what I do?
Right.
Or do you just want like discounted stuff?
We gonna say that. We gonna say that.
It was like, let me like, what have I done in the past month? You know, like show me that like you're actually following the business, and you know, versus just wanting a discount on some clothes.
Yeah.
Yep. I could talk all day about that.
Oh, so can we?
Also, go ahead. While we're on this,
Go ahead, talk to him.
if you like, don't say you're gonna support, or don't say you're gonna do something when in the back of your mind you're not actually gonna do it.
Yep.
Like, if you say something, follow through in your work. Because I've had so many people say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy a hat.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy a shirt," and they never follow through. You know, or it's like, I'm a book your studio for something, you know, and it's like crickets.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. That was 7 months ago. You know, it's like,
and now your prices have gone
like
up, maybe,
I could see like things come up, you know, whatever. But I think a lot of people just say stuff to appease our ears,
right?
To make us feel like that they are on board, when really there's very little intention,
right,
in the beginning to actually do it.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I hope you are having a wonderful day. If y'all are interested in a cool clothing brand with a great message behind it, go to dhbclothing.com and get your very own piece. We have bucket hats, we have dad hats, which is what I'm wearing right now. We have the OG hoodies and sweatshirts, many different items on the store that you can order online right now at dhbclothing.com. Hope to see y'all in the checkout, even though we won't see you in the checkout because it's online. I kind of look at it like this, man. Let's say, for instance, so I work at Lululemon part-time. I hope this is out there to the public. People should know this, whatever. If you don't, then it goes back to you don't know what I do in my life. But so if I went to Lululemon, worked constantly over and over and over, right? And my boss said, "Oh, I'm going to pay you this week, but don't." Guess what I'm not going to show back up to?
Right.
Lululemon.
Right.
I'm not going to show up if I'm putting in this work and my boss is saying, "Oh, yeah, we're going to pay you for your work," and it never happens. Now, I know that's different because I'm employed by a company, but it's almost to the point where it's like, like, for instance, we all have had people that might say, "Hey, like, I'm going to support you in this, or I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to buy that," and it never happens. And at the end of the day, I don't know what's in their bank account. Maybe that's just a time where they can't afford to do that. I'm not the person to say you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, whatever. So,
but some people say that, and you know they sitting on stacks,
right,
and they still try to be
and
cheap.
Be at the Justin Bieber concert the next day after they said that they was going.
But we ain't gonna talk about this.
But anyways, this could go real left, real quick, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're gonna try to keep it, you know, subtle, I guess subtle is
They know who
tamed. Let's put it tamed.
That's a good
tamed.
way to put it.
A little
Let me
tamed
drink my
because
tea.
that's one of the things too that I've thought about. It's like there are a lot of like the thing is just being very blunt. You tell like somebody telling me, "Oh man, I support you. Like keep going, doing your thing." I love the encouragement, but encouragement does not pay my bills. That's the reality.
Yes.
And when you're starting a business, you're not going to go to Lululemon and be like, y'all have great stuff, and just walk right out the store with it.
Right.
You're not going to do that.
Right.
You're going to pay for it because that's how they make their business. That's how they pay for more product, all these different things. That's how it stays sustainable. It's through monetary investment.
Right.
So with that being said, even down to what we were talking about before, sharing my post does not pay my bills, but guess what it does? It puts it in front of eyes of other people that may allow me to have connections.
Exactly.
So that to me is very, very big as well, especially in the beginning stages of a business. You don't have to share Nike's post for Nike to grow. They're gotten there. But in the beginning stages, for them to get somewhere, they have to have some level of marketing, have to have some level of it being shared, it being talked about. You know what I'm saying? Word of mouth goes a long way sometimes. But it's also like, okay, after word of mouth, somebody has to make the decision to actually purchase something.
Right.
Whether it be a studio session for you, like, oh, have y'all seen Cultivate Studios? Like, they're doing crazy stuff. Like, he's doing crazy stuff. He's doing all this stuff. It's like, I appreciate that. But somebody saying you're doing crazy or wonderful things and not actually booking a session don't help the business thrive monetarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I, in my mind, this is the same. It's the same thing as like if you say I love you to somebody.
Go ahead. Yep, I literally had this conversation this past weekend.
But you don't show love.
Go ahead.
To me, it's the exact same thing. Like I need to see like some action behind that I love you. Because like it's just words. Of course you're going to say I love you because that's what everybody wants to hear. Of course you're going to right, and it's easier to say. And of course you're going to say, I'm going to support you, because that's what we as business owners want to hear. But we also need to see like some action behind that. You don't have to buy merch every time we drop merch. You don't have to, and what I'm saying is it doesn't always have to be attached to money. Yeah. Like you said, sharing it goes a long ways. It goes a long ways in your endorsement of the business. Yeah. It goes a long ways in the algorithm. It goes a long ways in probably more ways than we know. Right. Just a simple share. So I that's how I equate it. It's like saying I love you with no action.
Yep. And then with that, like when you do say I love you without any action, it devalues now that word I love you.
Right.
And I joke around about this, and for those that are in my close knit circle, I don't give high fives for that reason. I do like a fist bump or I do like some joke thing. But when you do get a high five, it's like, dang, it's like it's my birthday, or like, oh
yeah,
oh shoot, like that's
like I'm like,
dang, you just give it a high five. And that's a joking like simple thing to do, but to me it goes right in line with that. Like I don't say I love you unless, man, like I legit have love for you, like whether it's a brotherly love or like a spiritual, like godly love or romantic love. Like I'm very hard to say that because I don't want to devalue that word. The word, same thing with your business. It's like I don't want to devalue your business because I think it's just it's your little business.
Like, little bit. Oh gosh.
Like
now that you said that,
like, it might be little now.
Yeah,
but you give it time.
Right.
That's
well, dude. I mean, this is I love hearing your heart, and we could probably talk for hours. But I do want to respect the rest of your day. One of the things we do here at the Life as Believers podcast is we give recommendations at the end of each episode. So we talked a lot about business this week, and kind of the come up of entrepreneurship. Do you have any recommendations for our listeners, for us, even whether it's a new song you listen to, a new album, maybe it's a go shopping at TJ Maxx and find you a come up on a t-shirt, like what's a recommendation you have for
Oh
people?
man, y'all put me on the spot. I'm not gonna do well with this.
It's all good.
You got it.
We'll sit in here and wait until you answer.
Yeah.
Oh,
It could be very simple. It could just be something that it could be business related. It could be family, whatever.
with a camera.
We got two of them.
Okay. I'm gonna recommend a book.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And it's a book that I feel like a lot of people have already read, but Atomic Habits.
Who's that by?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can look it up though. It's on my Audible. I'm not a sit down, read the book,
Same
hardback book person.
Can't do it.
I learn better with listening.
Yep.
So
Facts.
I just had to. I got like 15 Audible credits. So
wow.
That's how much I listen to stuff. Well, did I send it back? Sometimes I'll be doing that.
It's all good.
Anyways,
What was the name of the
Atomic
book?
Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Look it up. It's really challenging, just like kind of what we talked about earlier, just like establishing rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I don't know if this is something I took away from that book or if it's a direct quote from the book, but it said, we look at people who we see are very disciplined, and we just think that that's in their nature to be disciplined, when really they just have really good habits.
Wow.
So when you put it that way, it's like we all can be that. You know, when we look at these disciplined people, it's like, oh my gosh, they just like have everything. They're on top of everything all the time. It's like that's just who they are. It's like for some people, yes, that they're type A, that Enneagram 1, like that's just how they are. But for some people, it's like this is something that they have grown into because they've established good rhythms and good habits.
Yeah.
So pick up that book.
It's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What you got this week?
Man, I don't know.
See, you knew it was coming, and you still don't have it.
I know, you're right.
Every week
right.
you know what's coming. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not trying to be like Socrates and say something deep. But
You don't
like,
have to.
You know what I'm saying? I'm also trying to like think about something I feel like would be beneficial for everybody.
Sure.
Let's see.
Well, you got a new song out.
Yeah, I do. I don't even want to plug that.
He didn't want to
Plug
sell
it.
He didn't want to sell.
It's all good. Plug it. What's the story behind it too? How about this? Because that's a great recommendation to like. Because I think Zach posted about it and he was like, "This has got me through X, Y, and Z," because he knows the story behind it. So like the new song out is
it's called Adoption. Dang, this might about to make me emotional. Okay, so yeah, Adoption.
that's gonna go into my recommendation too. It's all good. So keep going.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Adoption is a song that it's just an instrumental. It's a good, just like chill, kind of has that same, I guess, genre as Gather did as a whole. But when I made the song, I wanted to convey what it felt like to be known. And to just be received into the family of God. And so anyways, I'm not going to give away all the parts of the song because I'd love for you all to listen to it.
The whole thing, not just the first 30 seconds.
The whole thing.
Come on.
Just say you listen. I listened to your song.
I listened to your song.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
You heard the intro.
Right.
But it has a very orchestral theme to it. The song grows. It has some cool elements in it. But with it, as I was making it from the perspective of like, I know that I have been adopted into the family of God, and I want people to hear and understand what it's like to be known, what it's like to be chosen, what it's like to be seen, and actually have some kind of understanding that my life it has a purpose. It has a purpose, and I will grow as I continue to understand that purpose is because of what God has done in my life. So you may not get that when you listen to it. It may just kind of be background, whatever. But that was my heart behind the song when I created it. So,
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And that kind of leads into my recommendation for the week is it's okay to feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've realized very recently is feel emotions and be okay with that. Like sit in emotions. Don't be fully led by emotions, but don't be afraid to have emotions. I think as Christians, we oftentimes like chalk it up to like, oh, don't be led to make decisions based on like your emotions and how you feel. Like, yes, bring it to the Lord, but we had this conversation and I felt like that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you just put up guards and you don't get your hopes up, so you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
And you live a very callous life. And so what I would like to say is feel emotions, express emotions, be okay with that, sit in that. And out of those emotions, sometimes clarity comes through and perspective comes through. And then you're able to make maybe a bit more of a clear decision on what steps you need to take.
That's great.
Be okay with feeling emotions and have friends around you that will speak to those emotions and speak life into those situations where you're feeling the heaviest.
Yeah. That's
cool.
Awesome.
Well, dude, plug your socials, plug all of the stuff so people can check you out. Website, Instagram. Where can people find you?
You can find me on MySpace.
Gang, bro.
The OG social media.
No way. That's still a thing?
No.
I don't know if it is or not, but I like well into college, I would go on once a year and log in just so it can like stay live.
That's hilarious.
And then I tried to do it one year and I couldn't do it, so they got me. But Instagram, my personal is Dan CP Davis. CP, I have two middle names. My photography page, Dan CP Davis Photo. And then _ Cultivate Studios for the studio.
That's awesome. And what's the website to book a session?
Yeah, the website is Cultivate Studios SC, so for South Carolina.
Cool.
Because there is another one in Colorado.
Okay.
Figure that out when I tried to purchase the domain.
So Cultivate Studios SC.com.
SC.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
That's cool.
We'll have all that stuff in the description under the YouTube video and all that stuff. But so you can actually click it and go straight to it. But yeah, as y'all know, if you've been listening, my personal is life_of_EL. My music page, which I need to start utilizing a little bit more, is
we'll have a debrief off of what he said. We'll put a plan together.
Yeah, we're gonna work on getting our business in order. And but our social stuff. But my music page, where you can find beats and DM me, message me about exclusive beats or beats to be leased, is the Sir Ellington, and then we got Kings and Queens.
Yes, we have at Kings and Queens Pro on Instagram, at DHB_clothing on Instagram. My personal is _Thomas Stroud_ on Instagram. And then this podcast is at Life as Believers.
Working on a new logo for that too, by the way.
Yeah, it's gonna be coming out. We're gonna be launching a TikTok too with a bunch of like different clips. We'll post clips on YouTube as well, under the Kings and Queens Productions YouTube channel, just to kind of get content out there. I know an hour and a half podcast is a lot to consume into one sitting.
For sure.
So we're going to start breaking it up into some bite-sized pieces for all you guys to enjoy. But Daniel, thanks so much for coming in today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Setting this as a priority. It means a lot. We'll definitely have you on next time and we can talk. Maybe not so much business, maybe some clothing and fashion, and maybe I can get you to style this house because you do some interior design stuff. And as you can tell, it's kind of lacking.
No, this is a good spot.
He's got something to say. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Peace out.
Be blessed.
Woo! Yes, sir. I can talk when I want to.